If you're on a plant-based diet, the top 3 things that I would recommend that you incorporate are not going to be plants. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go suggesting that you have organ meats and liver and salmon and fish oil. That's not where I'm headed with this. I'm going to recommend things from other kingdoms, neither the plant kingdom nor the animal kingdom. There are other things out there. For example, the fungal kingdom. What can we find here? Ooh, look, Reishi Mushroom. This is one of my absolute favorites. Reishi is an elite medicinal mushroom as long as it's grown on hardwood, and then you want to have it dual extracted and maybe even combined with spores for optimal potency. If you have reishi that's grown on grain, that is an absolute subpar, low level, low value supplement that is really not worth your money. When you get into hardwood grown, dual extracted reishi, it's something totally on another level. This, of course, is known for its immune enhancing effects. It has these long chain sugars called beta glucan polysaccharides that come in, and these attach to your white blood cells and effectively teach them how to do their job better. It's like an operating system upgrade for your immune system, and it's bringing them into balance. It's not just an immune stimulant like you would have with something like, for example, echinacea. It is adaptogenic and modulatory, not making your immune system overactive, and also, if it's underactive, supporting it to be a little bit more functional. And it goes beyond this, though. It has an anti-inflammatory nature to it as well, and it is modulating actually over 400, I believe is the correct number, different microfunctions in the body. And it's the most well-studied herb in the world, in fact. And so reishi, the other area of it that is really important, especially these days, is that it brings down stress. It is one of the greatest herbs, if not the greatest, for stress and anxiety. It gets you out of your head and into your heart, quiets down the mind, stops that endless internal monologue a little bit, and just brings you into a place of greater zen. It's been the go-to herb for monks and hermits and meditators and spiritual seekers for thousands of years. This is nothing new. This is not something that was invented a couple of months ago. This has time proven to be effective. So reishi is absolutely amazing. Now, there's certainly other mushrooms that are very much worth talking about as well, but as we're limited to only 3 things here by the question, we're going to move on into some other stuff. So the next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go into the world of algae. Now, there are some disagreements in the scientific world on the classification of algae and where they belong. Some people say they are plants. Most people say they're not. They're generally agreed to be protists. And so this is something outside the plant kingdom that we can get a lot of value from and a lot of nutrition. So, of course, chlorella is a great one here, but that's not the one of choice today. Today, we're going to talk about spirulina. Spirulina is a blue-green algae. It's got that same green pigment that you find in chlorophyll, but it also has an interesting blue pigment that we'll talk about a little bit more momentarily. The first thing of note with spirulina is that it's the highest natural source of protein, number 1, between 65 and 71%, depending on the exact growing practices and depending on the strain of spirulina that you're dealing with. And you may say, but wait a second, I have like this brown rice protein or this pea protein that's like 80% protein. Yeah, but that's not a whole food. That's protein that's been concentrated from something else. When we're looking at spirulina, this is still a whole food. And the other factor about that that's actually even more important and that not that many people think about is the amino acid makeup. Now, things like pea protein or brown rice protein, these are certainly complete proteins, meaning they have at least some amount of each of the 8 essential amino acids. But just because they're a complete protein doesn't mean they have good amounts, like really quality amounts of all 8 essential amino acids. For example, leucine is one that in pea protein, brown rice protein, etc., other plant proteins, you don't get very much of. It's in there, it's a little bit, just enough to be able to say this is a complete protein, but generally you don't see that much of it. And leucine, amongst other many other functions, is great for helping to build lean muscle. Spirulina is a fantastic source of leucine, one of the best actually. So it's very cool in that way. And now I mentioned there's that blue pigment in spirulina. This is where the real magic happens. This is called phycocyanin. And this is a very rare pigment which actually helps to improve stem cell production within the bone marrow. So really, really amazing stuff. Now I'm down to the last one item. What am I going to recommend to you now? algae oil. Now there's various different kinds of algae oils out there in the world. There's the kind of algae oil that's being used more for cooking at medium temperatures, which is very cool in its own way. But today we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the kind of algae oil that is very high in EPA and DHA, these long chain omega-3s that are so essential for brain health, for nervous system health, for cognitive function, for hormone health, for bringing down inflammation in the body. There's so many areas of health that benefit from a good amount of long chain omega-3s coming into the system. On a plant-based diet, you don't get these. You might get ALA, the shorter chain, and a little bit of these convert in the body to the longer chain, but only like something in the range of 5% usually. So it's not enough. And so you really need to have a food source of EPA and DHA coming in. Now, if you weren't on a plant-based diet, you could possibly be getting this from fish oil, krill oil, salmon. You could be getting it from grass-fed meats, from pasture-raised eggs. But obviously, none of those are going to be options for you if you're 100% plant-based. So here, your one option, and you're very fortunate to have this because this is only something that has very recently become available in the world as a commercial product. Your one option is algae oil for this EPA and DHA. And so thank goodness. Because it is a real lifesaver in terms of protecting one's long-term health. So I hope with these three things, you will become healthier than ever on your plant-based diet and just be feeling amazing every single day.